Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome to another episode of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. Before we get into today's episode, guys, make sure you smash the likes, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree with any of the topics we have discussed. And it was another depressing evening at Craven Cottage on Thursday night for Chelsea as we lost again. I think we've actually slipped into the bottom half of the table now. I think we might actually be 11th.
Have we?
Possibly, mate. I swear I've heard someone say that. That could be wrong, but I think we maybe slipped into it. That might be incorrect, but we're
just 10th still.
Oh,
level on 10th. Points with Villa.
Oh, fantastic! So we're still clinging to our top.
We've got a game in hand on them too. You never know. We could make some ground.
You never know, mate. We could be climbing our way up the table. But yeah, another loss at Craven Cottage on Thursday night. João Felix sent off on his debut. He's out for the next month. Zakaria injured as well. Don't know how long he's going to be out for. Just another disastrous evening at the Cottage.
12 injuries?
Yeah, 12 injuries. Now, another disastrous evening at the Cottage. We've kind of covered the game already, so we won't go into it in too much detail. But Lewis, João Felix, obviously straight into the starting lineup. We've both said it. That's kind of, not only was he looks our best attacker, the fact that the guy's been in the country, 1 or 2 days, and he's done one training session at Cobham, he's straight into the lineup, and he's already our best attacker. Just goes to show how poor the quality is of what we've got so far, and how much quality we miss. Because, you know, even just, as I said, even a guy that takes a shot on goal, a guy that actually gets his head down and moves the ball towards the goal, picks out a pass, links up play lightly. Mate, we've been deprived of the absolute basics of attacking football for so long now that we actually celebrate these small things. How impressed were you with his debut until he got sent off? I mean, I know it's only 60 minutes of football and, you know, it's not going to define his loan spell, but you could tell the quality that he possesses.
Yeah, I think you said it all perfectly. The way that he played just put all of our other attackers on blast. The likes of Havertz, Mason Mount. This guy's come in and shown you exactly how to do your role in 60 minutes. That's an embarrassment to them. But to João Felix, it only just shows his ability too. Fair play to him. Because there was questions over whether he'd adapt. There was questions over if he'd have any impact. Would he just be a Havertz 2.0 that just roams around and does nothing? No. When he's on the ball, he's beating players. When he's off the ball, he's using the direction of the ball to still beat players. He's got technical ability. He's got vision. He makes chances. I'd be sending Kai back, personally. Obviously, the red card is not even more than a damper on things. I don't think people speak about it enough, but it was so stupid from him. It was so dumb. I don't care if it's a striker's challenge or whatever. We all know in this day and age, don't go in for tackles that high with your studs up. It's a red. When everyone in the away end who can only see it once already knows that it's a red. Yeah. It weren't a good challenge. And it weren't all his fault. Part of it was Koulibaly, that horrific pass that he just spammed right into him. Even João Felix isn't going to take that first time. But it's just a damper on what was a good performance, because now 20% of his league games are gone. Just like that. And now we're back to the same old crap. All that little glimmer of hope that we had from João Felix is gone for the next 3 games. So it's like 1 step forward and 2 steps back. But it was a good performance. It was refreshing to see an attacker with some brain cells. And yeah, hope to see Felix again after the next month. Enjoy your little vacation in London.
Mate, it's actually mad that it could only happen to Chelsea, sign someone for 11 mil for a 6-month loan. And then he's missing a month of that loan through suspension.
On purpose,
Mate,
let me take the missus out sightseeing for a month.
Mate, he played 60 minutes with Havertz and Mount and was like, I had a month off.
I'm out. You know what? I don't blame him. Enjoy your vacation.
Hopefully he'll be back soon. But obviously he does miss the Palace game, the Liverpool game at Anfield, and he also misses the Fulham game at home as well, which is not ideal. But I want to touch on decision-making in the attack briefly from that Fulham game. There are a number of clips that have been doing the rounds on socials of just really, really poor decision-making from Chelsea attackers. It's not something new, but I see it with Mason Mount. Felix has got a nice run. Even if the pass doesn't come off, at least show the intent to make the pass. You know, like I don't mind if players give away possession if they're making an attempt at like a through ball or a risky pass that's got a high reward to it. I'm okay if you give the ball away 9 times out of 10, but then that 10th pass is a through ball and it's a goal. I'm all right with that, but don't constantly just don't look for the pass or just use the easy option to lay it off. And I've seen people say that, like, you know, particularly with that Mason Mount one where he just offloaded it to Aspie. Oh, you know, they're so used to Reece James being there that he's like the natural outlet and they always just lay the ball off to him. I kind of get that to a certain point, but mate, you've played football long enough, you know, to know that Reece is not playing right now. So why are you giving it to Aspie when you can either just go for the pass? So Mount, again, decision-making poor. Havertz, decision-making shocking as well in terms of, and particularly that one in the second half where Felix has made a run, is a good opportunity to play him in. Havertz just carries on his run, and I think he ends up giving the ball away. I mean, why do you think these players, particularly Mount and Havertz, just don't make any positive decisions in the final third?
Just aren't good enough. Just aren't good enough. Like, we've been saying it for long enough. Kai Havertz, our creative outlet. That guy has tunnel vision. He can't see anything that isn't just right in front of his eyes. And even then, like, he probably will still ignore it because he wants to over dribble or do some stupidness. Mason Mount, we already know, constantly makes the wrong decisions. And the fact that those two are our creative outlets are the reasons why our strikers have failed. The reasons why Werner has failed. The reasons why Lukaku has failed. The reasons why Aubameyang is failing. It's because he has them two behind them. This is why having João Felix was so refreshing for the limited time that we had him on the pitch. Because he recognizes passes. He has awareness. He's not taking too many extra touches. He's not overplaying. He's keeping it very simplistic and he's making it work. Mount and Havertz don't do that, and that's why they constantly hold us back. That's why we make 2 big chances a game, because they are our creative outlets. Mason Mount constantly overdoes things and lacks the technical ability. Kai Havertz just doesn't do it. He's just an idiot. So those are the reasons why those two hold us back. But I ain't too surprised by it. Their decision-making has been holding us back. It's just been even more apparent in this game. But hey, still generational, still all of that. So what do I know, innit?
But this is where I feel a little bit sorry for the manager and Graham Potter. Okay, yes, you could say, "Oh, don't pick these guys," but right now, you know, we are in a difficult situation with so many players out injured. They kind of almost have to play to a point. But then this is where I feel sorry for the manager, as I said, because they're on the pitch. It's not his fault that these guys cannot pick a pass, or like don't possess the football IQ to unlock a defense. What are you supposed to do? Is I don't care who you are on the sidelines. You know, if you're dealing with the likes of Mount and Havertz right now in the form that they're in and their decision making, like, what are you supposed to do as a manager to actually get anything out of this attack when those guys on the pitch are doing that? When we've got defenders defending the way they are, you know, it is tough on the manager. I mean, moving on to the defense, mate. I still can't believe it, and every time I see it, it's just like I just don't know what to say. How have we got to 2023? And we're still playing Azpilicueta as right wing back in the Premier League as a viable option? It's criminal. It's so bad. And then, I mean, mate, what did you think about that when you saw him right wing back in the 5 on Thursday night? I mean, could have easily played Chalobah there and put Badiashile in for his debut.
I didn't really get it, but we're stuck in that sort of position now because we still haven't brought any right back depth in. Until we do that, we have to keep playing Aspie in these sorts of games. And it's just annoying, but we're the ones that signed him on a 2-year deal, so we have to hold that. Bring in a right back, we can solve that situation very simply, but we haven't done that yet. And we're now halfway through the window. I'm now wondering, are we going to bring in one, or are we seriously just going to be doing Aspie and Reece James until the end of the season? Because Reece James will come, he'll probably get another injury, and then we'll be back to Aspie, and it's not going to work. Badiashile has to start over Koulibaly at this point.
Yeah.
I like Koulibaly. I really think he can turn this around, but he can't keep starting games in this form. He just can't. It's not good enough from him. His passing's atrocious. His decision-making isn't good enough. His awareness isn't good enough. It needs to be a lot better. And these are the reasons why we're leaking goals. Even Chalobah, who has been so good for us this season.
It was awful at Fulham. Terrible.
Yeah, he was poor. struggled physically, lost Vinicius for the second, let the ball go underneath him for the first. Like,
Mate,
I won't get him too much because
No.
he has been really good this season, but still, like, we need better.
I mean, on Koulibaly, right, we were obviously excited when he came in the summer, and he started reasonably well. I think he played the ball for Chilwell to win the penalty at Everton. He obviously scored that goal at home against Spurs, and he had a pretty good start. Got the red card at Leeds, and it kind of realistically, it's been pretty downhill since then. He had a pretty good game at home to City in the league. But overall, his form's been terrible. He's reached nowhere near the standards that people expected of him. I know he's new to the league and the Premier League is very different to Serie A, but I don't think any of us expected him to be this poor. And in terms of, mate, were you surprised? I'm sure you've seen it. The Matt Law article that came out yesterday, that we'll get onto. In terms of Chelsea kind of wanting to put an end to player power, move players out the door as quickly as possible. Were you surprised to see, mate, that Chelsea would be prepared to listen to offers for Koulibaly and kind of cut their losses? That did surprise me. And it almost strikes me as an admittance of the fact that signing shouldn't have happened potentially. But are you surprised to hear that Chelsea would be prepared to potentially let Koulibaly go?
Yes. Yeah, because we signed him in the summer. We signed him under the new regime, and he's one of our highest earners. So that shows a really massive lack of faith in him if they want to get rid of him this early. And his form, to be honest, hasn't really justified staying. I do think he can offer more if he's given time, but I understand he's 31 years of age too. There's only really so much time you can give at that point. If they want to cut losses and the right club comes in, it's whatever. It's whatever. He'll end up being one of our worst ever centre-backs, which is a shame for how many years we've been waiting for him, but I mean, he hasn't played well. We have to be ruthless at this point. If they do want to get rid of Koulibaly and they can, I won't personally try and stand in their way.
No, I mean, yeah, ultimately it's down to the club, but it would seem strange to kind of, yes, he's been really poor, but he's only 6 months into it. He's more than got the quality to turn it around and become the defender that Chelsea think he can become. But ultimately, if the club don't think he's the right person to be here, then I will fully support the decision to move him on if it does come to that. But yeah, I really am surprised to see him struggling. In terms of other news from that article, mate, how refreshing. Obviously, it's one thing reading it, it's another thing actually seeing it in action. But mate, how pleased were you to at least read it and see that the owners have got this idea that they want to kind of put a stop to this player power that's been kind of dominating Chelsea and getting rid of managers left, right, and centre for the last few years without the players really taking any responsibility. It looks like those sort of characters, Chelsea and this new ownership want to get rid of them, and the sooner that happens, the better. But mate, that must have been music to your ears for when you saw that.
So refreshing, man. They're not going to sack the manager. They're going to clear out this squad of bums. Do you know how long I have waited to hear that? It's not, oh, let's give another manager these players and see what they can do with them. They want the Champions League and all that crap. No. They understand this team's crap. This team needs a massive overhaul, and we're going to do it. But we do have to see it happen in the flesh before that happens. Like, from now till the end of the summer, I think they're just going to assess who's good enough. But I think it's also been aware that there is going to be a giant clear out the summer. And if you're not good enough, you will be part of it. Aubameyang's probably going to be going. Havertz going to be going. Thank the Lord. Ziyech, Pulisic probably going. Thank the Lord. Koulibaly potentially leaving. It is what it is. Jorginho, Aspi needs to be done at this point. And probably many more. And I look forward to it. It's going to be a very, very busy summer. I can't wait.
Mate, the squad's got if this does happen, and hopefully it does, mate, the squad's going to be looking so different next season just with those names gone compared to the sort of the shit that we're dealing with right now in this situation. Another interesting thing from that article was the fact that this new ownership wants to kind of create a dressing room where most players are on the same kind of in and around the same basic wage, but then they've got the ability to earn a lot more through team and personal related bonuses. I like the idea of that structure in theory. It sounds good that you're paid a basic amount and then you've got the ability to earn more providing you perform well and the team does well. That all sounds good and well in on paper, but the reality of the situation is you're trying to go for the big name players. If we're trying to go for the likes of the Bellinghams and other names like that, are they really going to accept like lesser money up front and then the earning potential through bonuses? I don't really know. But mate, do you like the sound of that idea where you've got kind of guys on the same money roughly, and then their ability to earn more is actually influenced by how well they perform?
I like it. Like you said, I don't know how easy it would be to implement it, but I think that could work for anybody who hasn't already shown themselves or built any pedigree for themselves. So, like if it's younger players, if it's players with a bit less experience, I could understand that. I think if you're trying to get players in their prime or players like, let's say a Sterling, for example, who's won the league 4 times back to back, looked at as one of the best wingers in Premier League history, he's probably not taking a contract like that. But if it's someone younger, someone who hasn't really proved themselves on the biggest stage, then maybe I could see that happen. But even then, like, that's going to take a lot to be able to implement that throughout the entire squad. But fair play to them. I like the sound of it. I do like the sound of it.
Yeah, it does sound good. And just to go back to that point we were talking about earlier about senior players leaving, there was just something in the Athletic that I come across now that apparently sources close to senior players who have been granted anonymity to protect relationships have indicated there are individuals who are unsettled and want to leave in the summer. Well, I mean, that's great. Those unsettled individuals, I think it's pretty clear who they are.
Bye-bye.
See you, man, later. It's simple as that. I don't care how good you are. If you don't want to be here, off you go. Simple as that. Simple as that. In a little bit of transfer related news, mate. Kind of coming seemingly out of nowhere into like kind of full on. This could actually happen. Noni Madueke, the PSV Eindhoven winger, and also England under-21 international. Chelsea in official talks with PSV for him. Van Nistelrooy saying that, like you don't know what's going to happen in football, indicating, they would be happy to let him go if the price is right. I think 40 million euros is what they're potentially holding out for. I don't really know very much about this player at all, if I'm being perfectly honest, but it's a winger. It's an exciting talent. You'd like to think their new recruitment team have kind of done their homework. What are your thoughts on a move for him? I mean, I don't mind attackers coming in, but it's not the priority right now. I mean, are you concerned? Like, firstly, your thoughts on Madueke, and then secondly, are you concerned by the fact that, particularly in this window, the priorities seemingly to us don't seem to be in the positions that need to be addressed?
Yeah, it is confusing me that we're still not looking at other midfielders. We're dragging this whole Enzo Fernandez deal for way too long. If you're not interested, or if you're not paying the 120 mil, just move on, honestly, because the more we waste time, the more games we go with a meaty midfield that isn't going to help us do anything. Madueke looks good from what I've seen, but what I've seen from him is very limited, so I won't say too much. Does have a bit of a worrying injury record, and with all the questions surrounding our medical team, doesn't really look that good. But other than that, I can't really judge him too much. I'm sure he's a decent young prospect, fits the PMP narrative and everything. So if it works, it works. It's another investment signing, but we need something for now. Something to stabilize us for now, because I'm again at the point where I need 15 points to guarantee survival, and then we move on. And I still don't know where those 15 points are coming from. So I need something to motivate me.
Mate, I don't know, mate. I don't think anyone knows where those 15 points are coming from. People saying they're wanting wins, mate. I'll take a point right now before we start moving any further to any closer to wins. I mean, with the Madueke one, it's interesting. Like, obviously, his age profile, I think he's 20 years old. I don't know, is that part of the future, or is that one to come in and do something now? I mean, I've read things that, people at Chelsea seem to think he can make an impact now. I don't really know what category he really falls into. We are desperate, but like, what I wouldn't really know what category he would fall into in terms of a signing. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that deal does get done. Well, mate, we're desperate right now. I haven't really got any choices. Marcus Thuram's another one that looks like it could be getting close, and maybe something over the weekend or early next week to bring him in. That would be another much needed addition to the attack. But in terms of midfield, mate, and the name that seems to be leading the kind of the news at the moment, obviously Chelsea haven't officially given up or ruled out going back in for a second go at Enzo Fernandez, but I think it's very much Benfica's stance, release clause or nothing. So let's see what happens with that. But Moise Caicedo at Brighton seems to be the name now that is kind of quite hot. What would your thoughts be on a move for him?
Caicedo obviously fits Potter's style of play like a glove. He costs about 60 to 70 million, but it probably would be worth it. I wouldn't be against it. I don't know how likely it would be to take someone away from Brighton at this point in the season. Also, because I do think they're higher than us in the table too, which is just, yeah, they're in 8th and we're in 10th. I wouldn't mind. I'd definitely be down for bringing him in, but I just don't know how likely it would be at this point in the season. But test the waters. We've taken enough from Brighton already as it stands.
Mate, yeah, I think, yeah, test the waters. I mean, the thing is, though, like, we got to move quick because it's already, like halfway through January virtually. And this would be a big deal and a sizable chunk of money. Brighton would obviously want relevant time to line up a replacement to bring in as well. You know, there's not that much time left in this window. We've got probably 2 weeks, maybe just over 2 weeks. So, you know, if we want to get these players in, we need to start moving a little bit quicker. If we're going to do that, because time will run out on us. These teams are going to want the opportunity to bring replacements in as well. Mate, before we move on to the Palace game, just wanted to quickly touch on something that I saw the other day, that Chelsea are going to order a comprehensive review of their medical department, which I think is much needed. I've never known a time for Chelsea to pick up so many injuries and so frequently, and for the injuries to be like the length of time that they are for key players. Obviously, we know that the medical department was kind of cleared out in the summer. A lot of senior people within there leaving, and it was kind of replaced with this sort of Hollywood fitness firm that kind of, you know, is in charge of fitness of celebrities and that, which is obviously very different to the needs of professional footballers. Mate, would you welcome an inquiry into the medical department? Because whatever's going on right now is clearly just not doing the business at all, and it needs massively restructuring or something's got to change. So we're just picking up injuries left, right, and centre.
See, I'm in two minds about it. I get how the squad would prefer the old regime. I mean, not the old regime, the old medical team, because they probably understand their bodies better. They know how their bodies work, what their recovery would be like, all those little things that we don't necessarily think about. But most of them were already injury prone before we got there. Like Sir James, Kante, Loftus-Cheek, Pulisic. I'm sure there's others that aren't really on the top of my head right now, but we've had a lot of injuries before them. I think you could ask questions about Reece James and Chilwell, but I'd also kind of blame Potter on that too. Chilwell was seen training on with a bandage strapped to his thigh the day before a meaningless game against Zagreb because we're already qualified as group winners. And he played the full 90. Reece James pushed into 60 minutes against Bournemouth that even the manager said he wasn't necessarily fit enough to play. Why was he playing? I would have rather seen Asby if that's the case. Even if we lost, I would have understood. If Reece James isn't at 100%, do not risk him. He's had enough injuries. So that I could understand, but that also goes with probably the medical team say so. So they're probably culpable in that too. So I could understand it for them too. Everyone else, it's either freak injuries, like the Brozier one, for example, or they're players that were already injury prone. So I don't know. It's a lot to speculate about. If they don't like the medical team or if they don't have faith in them, it's not really a good look. I think Boehly is he's changed everything probably too fast. I think that might have been one of his mistakes early on. And like, that is understandable. Like, mistakes will happen. But if I'd have to say one of his from all that I've seen, I think we've changed way too much too early. Yeah. And I think that turnover, that transition, for the medical side at least, could have been a bit slower. Like, for the infrastructure, I get it. We needed directors of football. We needed technical directors years ago. That had to be immediate. The medical team, though, that could have been phased in a little bit more. Or you could have at least given them a run and seen what they're like. But I guess new owners, when they come in, they want to change everything and they want to make it in their light. We've seen Roman do the exact same thing, so I'm not too surprised. I've already been saying if the bad changes in the next 3 years, I wouldn't be completely shocked.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with what you say. Like, obviously, yeah, my only thing would be like if you're going to get rid of, particularly something like a medical department, if you're going to clear out the senior medical team, then you need to at least have people lined up to come in and replace them, because the medical team is a thing that's actually important, and the relationship between medics and medical team and players is actually really important in terms, they understand their bodies, they've created relationships with them over a number of years and whatnot. And to clear out the senior side of the medical team and to then not really bring anyone in and try and, put a stopgap in until the right medical team's available. Maybe it's just better off if you just waited until you could get the guys you want before removing them. I would agree with you that I think that potentially is a mistake, but I also get your point that a proportion of these players it's not like they've just suddenly picked up injuries. They have been known to be injury prone throughout their careers, or certainly over the last couple of seasons. But mate, let's move ahead to Palace tomorrow. 2:00 kickoff. We're 1 win in 9 games. Form is terrible. What are you expecting?
Nothing. Because I expect nothing and I'm still disappointed half the time. And God knows. Palace are in terrible form. I've seen people try and tell me that they probably think Chelsea can get 3 points as a result. I can see a very confidence-building 3 points for Crystal Palace because they like coming to the bridge. I don't know. I have no expectations. Like, my only ray of hope was João Felix. Now he's gone. I'm back to the hideous twins.
Mate, in terms of maybe like lineup and sort of structure formation, we saw obviously Potter revert back to the back 5 against Fulham. Are you expecting him to stick with that, or do you envisage a return to the back 4? Personally, for me, I think we need to revert back to the back 4.
Definitely need to do a back 4 because like Koulibaly needs to be dropped at this point. But there's other players that need to as well, and Potter needs to stop playing Mount and Havertz. I understand with the injuries, maybe one of them has to start, and that's whatever. But you can't be starting both. And if you're starting both, I'm going to ask serious questions about what you're doing at that point. Midfield, Chukwuemeka has to be starting.
Yeah.
I don't really know what we're doing in midfield other than that because Kante's still out. I think Ruben's still out.
Yeah. We got
Gallagher and Mount are the same thing.
Cover and Jorginho, and that's it.
Probably, and Cover's been crap recently.
Mate, he was so bad at Fulham.
It's flying under the radar, his performances, by the way. No one's mentioning it too much, but he's been so arse this season.
Yeah.
And like he might have to be part of the fucking rebuild as well. We might have to get rid of him too.
Well, mate, his contract's up at the end of next season, end of 24, and there's rumours that he might, or reports suggesting that he may be looking to move on. So that could be another one that might be going out.
Don't improve, cash in, just cash in, because we need a whole rebuild anyway. He can be part of that. I would start Fofana or Aubameyang. Like I wanted to see Aubameyang and Felix, but that's not even happening in the next 3 games. So what's even the point? Give Fofana a run out. Give Chukwuemeka a run out. Who else? Badia Shield
to come in at the back. I mean, for me personally,
Andre Santos is here. You might as well give him a 90. Give him a 90.
I don't even know if he can play, if he's got a work permit situation sorted out or not. I don't really know what the situation with him is.
The documents or something.
Mate, do you think like if you're going back 4, Chalobah right back, Silva, and then obviously Badia Shield to come in for his debut, mate. I think you don't think he will.
Right back. We saw it against City; it just don't work. I thought it'd be a good idea, but nah. Plus, he needs to get back into form and not fall off a cliff after the last game. So
Chalobah centre back with Silva and Aspie right back.
Yeah, it's the best we can do, isn't it? We're gonna have to put him there.
Mate, what are your thoughts on the left back situation? I mean, because obviously Lewis Hall played there against Fulham. Mate, Cucurella has not been great this season. That touch or that miscontrol kind of summed up him for the.
I think Cucurella's being scapegoated though.
It is a little bit. I mean, he stormed straight down a tunnel.
As bad as people make him out. There's been bad games. There's been bad games. Like the City game at home in the league. Fair enough. Like he was terrible in that, but Forest game before that, he was really good. Bournemouth, he was really good.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's been a lot of good performances in there that we're just not really talking about too much. And plus, Lewis Hall, now you mention it, put him in the midfield. There you go. Put Lewis Hall in the midfield because we're putting him out of position too much and it's not comfortable enough of a position for him. So put Cucurella on the left, put Lewis Hall in the midfield, Chukwuemeka and Jorginho, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is for me where I will be a little bit annoyed with Potter, as you say. Like, if he continues to pick the underperforming senior players over your likes of your Chukwuemekas, your Fofanas, and whatnot, that's where I'll be like, look, you need to stop doing that sort of thing. But so hopefully he does. But I'm fully aware that due to injuries, that one of Mount or Havertz will most likely be starting, which is not ideal. Mate, let's round it out with a score prediction. We both, I can't remember if we predicted losses to Fulham or not. We definitely didn't predict us to win. Mate, what are your predictions for tomorrow?
2-1 Palace. A disappointing afternoon for the Blues.
Oh no.
Wilfred Zaha double. I don't know, Jorginho penalty.
Oh, do you know what will happen? Mark Guéhi will come back to Stamford Bridge and he'll score from a corner or something.
Famous last words, bro. You know what? I might drop a bet on that. That's so predictable.
Mate, like, the
Willian goal. Yeah. Except Aspi. Oh, what's Willian gonna do when he gets to the edge of the box? He's definitely not gonna cut inside. We've never seen him do that.
Haven't played with Willian for 7 years of his career. Don't know what he does. Jeez, I'll go with a 1-1 draw. I just can't see us winning this game, and that's just kind of the situation that we're in at the moment. But yeah, guys, put your score predictions in the comments below as well. Seems like a good point to round out another episode. Make sure you smash the like, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already. Make sure you check out Carefree Lewis G, subscribe to him as well. Subscribe to my channel, The Blues Brothers. And guys, we'll catch you in another episode soon.